Hello, welcome B-Siders to a brand new episode of my podcast. And I'm joined by another amazing guest today. And I can't wait to dive in to, chatting all about music and the benefits it has on my guest, as well as, how you can use that benefit for yourself and see what golden nuggets we come up with this time. Now, without further ado, I'm going to dive right in and welcome my guest for today. Is it Ben or Benjamin? I forgot to ask you actually, and that's a fault on my part. Do you mind?
No worries. It's Benjamin Yeh, but I go by Ben as well.
Oh,
So
Ben. Okay,
either way.
right. Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that.
All good.
And I'm just going to quickly cover a little bit about you, and please feel free to correct me, add on anything that you feel is important that my listeners or my audience should know about. But I know you are a business and transformation coach, which sounds amazing in itself. From the looks of it, you've got lots of experience, especially in the investment area, and you are now trying to help entrepreneurs to empower themselves and gain clarity on their true north, which sounds cold but interesting.
Yeah.
And what you're really passionate about is you want to help them to thrive in their business and live a life that they're meant to live. So that's really in a nutshell what you do. If you want to add on about your experience, etc., please feel free to do so. I know there's a lot of interesting stuff you have done in the past, so I feel like I'll leave it up to you to mention what you want to share with everybody.
Sure. No, and first of all, it's such a pleasure, and I'm very grateful to be here with you today. When I look back at my career in this current chapter, I'm in the third chapter of my career. My first chapter was being a real estate consultant. So all that means is I lived out of a suitcase for 4 years, traveling, going to client sites and whatnot, which was, it was a good learning experience as, a beginning chapter, because early on in your career, you just want to be a sponge and soak up as much information and knowledge as you can. And then what happened was, this was I think it was the day before Christmas in 2008. I went into an office and I got laid off, which was beautiful.
Wonderful.
Very wonderful. The stressful, all the emotions of, all the above. But, usually when the door closes, another one opens up. And I had a really amazing opportunity to work as an investment officer for a family office. And so family office is just a fancy term for an investment team for high net worth individuals. And so in this case, these were founders of a restaurant empire that's, completely family owned. And basically all the money they generated in a restaurant group, we invested on their behalf. We bought a lot of real estate, invested into companies, funds, anything under the sun, you name it, we probably touched and evaluated. And so within a span, and that was my second chapter of my career. So as an investment officer, within a span of 7 years, me and my team invested well over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of money, it's a lot of energy, right? And back then, when I think about it, I was very left brain, very 100% logic based, right? But what's very interesting is through that second chapter, I also met my wife, and when we got married, we had kids, and I had this vision that came during my maternity leave 2 weeks after my son was born. And I remember laying in bed next to my wife, and I was staring up in the ceiling. And I had this vision came in where, it was a white house. There was a front yard, my family's playing in front, 2 kids were running around. And so I knew this was a vision in the future because at the time, my wife and I was living in an apartment and our son was our first child. So I didn't even know we were going to have 2 kids right at the time. But what was very interesting is when having this vision, everyone externally looked like they were happy and having fun, but internally, as I was viewing this vision, I was feeling empty. It wasn't resonating. I didn't feel that same level of happiness inside. And that's when I really self-reflect, I realized, wow, the current path that I was on was really designed by others. It wasn't designed by me, by my soul. And from the outside, it looked like, look, I've been creating a successful career as an investment officer. I thought like, I arrived, but was this truly what my heart, my soul really wanted? And that moment gave me the clarity that it was not.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until a few years later, that's when I took that leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And both my wife and I, around the same year, decided to leave the company and really to explore what is it that really brings my heart fulfillment. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's where I go, where I'm in now in my third chapter of my career as an entrepreneur. But one of the things is, when we say business and transformation coach, what that really means is just, when I say true north, it's really what's your soul's purpose? What's the direction in life that your soul is yearning to go towards? And with that direction, then what I do is then we look at what's the strategy to help my clients achieve their vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we have that clarity, then what do you have to instill from a day-to-day habits and tactics to be able to execute on that alignment with your soul?
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I look back in my experience as an investment officer, from startup to funds to nine-figure, empires, like there's different stages and growth pains in business, but in life. And what I've come to realize is that when you have a good, healthy rhythm and balance of mind, body, and soul, then you're really building your success on top of a strong foundation. It's not on a house of cards.
Mm. Yeah.
And when I think about how my spiritual journey as well as my career progression intertwined, it's all interrelated. It's all interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so that's what really led to makes me feel really fulfilled when I really empower my clients from that capacity.
Mm. Yeah, it's I think especially at the moment after the last sort of 2, 3 years, I think a lot of people go back and think, well, where am I? What am I doing? Do I like
Yeah.
what I do? So that's where people like you definitely come in handy, if I may say so, to
Yeah.
help gain us clarity and direction. Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess the
Because
world can't go on as it is, so change is needed.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I've noticed in terms of just where we are in the world today. And
Mm.
there's this hustle mentality of just being in
Mm-hmm.
that grind. And it feels like you're in the hamster wheel.
Mm.
And I understand when some people are in that mindset and in that routine. But the reality is like sometimes you feel like you're running and running, but or you might feel you're taking 10 steps forward, but always knocked back eight steps. And it's like, am I even heading in the right direction? Do you give yourself the space and permission to even just pop your head out and saying, am I even heading towards the right direction? Because if I
Mm-hmm.
am, I'm in a point in my life where I rather take one step in the right direction than 10 miles in the opposite.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely.
and that's where the clarity comes in, and being able to at least give yourself the space, the permission, and that self-reflection, whether
Mm.
it's by yourself internally when you do inner work, or working with a coach, or even just having the right surrounding to be able to give you that soundboard and that
Mm.
that reflection. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you used soundboard.
Hmm.
Leads nicely into the next question I have for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, my podcast is all around music and how it impacts our life and stories, amazing stories of how music has changed lives, supported lives. And this is a very generic question, obviously, but how important is music in your life?
Mm. I would say it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. And I really understood more so in the last couple of years and how much it's an integral part of my life than it was before, because I actually listen to music with intention rather
Mm-hmm.
than just passing time. And why I say that is because, it's music can be a conduit of helping you either going faster or slower. And when I'm coaching through someone that feels stuck, right? If they're going through a midlife crisis, a purpose crisis, any crisis, and they're
Right.
not, they hit a wall, they don't know how to get around it. What I usually walk them through is first, well, are you going in the right direction? Do you have a sense of that? If you don't have a sense, Are you able to really understand why do you have that certain feelings, or are you suppressing certain feelings and emotions? And what I've realized with music is that it really helps shift your energetic state internally, depending on what you're listening to, because sound is just one of the senses. So is sight, so is touch, feel, right? There's all the senses. When it's activated, it can actually trigger certain memories, certain thoughts. And so when I think about, on my podcast, Boom Vision, my whole premise of building a solid foundation of mind, body, soul starts with a mindset. And so what I share, the three core pillars is imagination, voice, and intuition. Imagination, voice, and intuition. Now, why these three things? Imagination is what you see internally.
Yep.
Your voice, your inner voice, is what you hear internally.
Right.
Your intuition is what you feel internally. What you see, what you hear, what you feel completely shapes your inner world that gets amplified to your outer reality. And so how music comes in is usually, okay, when you're trying to access your intuition, I make a distinction that your intuitive voice is very different from your inner voice. That inner voice, you could be your inner critic, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing about society and our world right now is why do we tend to see the world half empty rather than half full, right? Dr. Bruce Lipton has said, in early childhood, you hear two more no's than one yes. And when I think about it, the story I share is, when my son was starting to walk, he's like a little tank and always finds the corners of the tables in the house. And I would notice that, when he is starting to walk, he's about to hit his head on a corner. I'd be like, no, don't do that. And then I realized, wow, within a span of 1 second, I said 5 no's.
Interesting.
And so that programming of sound as a child, if you hear more no's than yes, you're naturally going to see the world half empty rather than half full. And so why do we have that inner critic? And so that goes into what I call SOS, subconscious operating system. It's just the language we have buried in our subconscious based on what we download and observe as a child from 0 to 7.
Yep.
Have we spent the time to upgrade the language? Because if we haven't, then you might have a negative inner voice. Now, why I say there's a distinction between inner voice and intuition is because your intuitive body, there are certain times where it's trying to guide you to help you course correct. And so one analogy I use very vividly is the car analogy, right? If you imagine, if your eyes were closed, you're in a car, let's say you're driving blindly. Let's say your music blast is so loud that you cannot hear the noises or any alarms outside. If someone's trying to honk and trying to warn you, you can't hear it because your music is blasted too loud. Let's say you can't feel how hard you're pressing the gas pedal, so you don't really have a sense of how fast or how slow you're driving. And what I call intuition in the car context is that it's really your soul GPS. It's your soul GPS system. It's there, everyone has it, but are you able to understand how it's trying to communicate with you versus that inner voice it's actually saying, right? And when you're driving with your eyes closed, music blaring loudly, and you can't feel how fast, and you're not paying attention to your soul GPS, that's a very dangerous thought because it's just a train wreck ready to happen, right? But if you have that clarity, if you're expanding your imagination, what you see, if you're expanding what you hear and upgrading what you're hearing internally, your inner voice, if you're actually listening to your intuitive voice, your intuitive body, then you will get to where you want to get into life with a very more, conscious driving, so to speak.
And I think sometimes, and I don't know, obviously everyone experienced that. I call it the gut feeling or the gut instinct because it's sort of really, sometimes it's so basic and you can't make sense sometimes, but it's just telling you something and you just got to listen to it. And to me, that doesn't necessarily have to be like you said, a voice. I'm not talking about the inner critic, right? It can just be like a sensation, or I know for me a lot it happens when I ponder about something and then a song comes on, and the lyrics exactly match answer my question.
That's right.
That's also kind of, is that how you mean like your intuitive thing?
Yes. So let me clarify on that. What I mean by how is your intuitive body communicating with you,
Mm-hmm.
this is where it's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people are more sensory in terms of visual. Some people are more auditory. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are more feeling based. You might feel a tingling sensation on your spine. Your body might get goosebumps, right? You might be
Mm-hmm.
hearing more. Everyone's going to be different.
Cool.
They're signaling to you in very different. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to expand your sensory and body to understand, is that my intuitive gut feeling, intuitive voice speaking to me, voice coming through as a sound, as sight,
Mm-hmm.
or as feeling,
Cool.
or is it my inner voice? That's where you just have to really sit and within, being able to make that distinction. Because some people, the first thing that to be able to tend to say is, well, I don't know if it's my inner voice or intuition's talking. I don't know how to make the
Mm-hmm.
distinction. And usually with the inner voice, it might be more emotionally charged, right? It might be coming from a sense of fear or very loud. Your intuition usually is not that blaring. It's actually very subtle, very even keeled. It's coming from love and light.
Mm-hmm.
So how it comes to you, it's very subtle. When you think about a GPS system, it doesn't change its intonations based on the direction it's giving you. It's usually just always in a very constant state, right?
Can you imagine? Oh my God, sorry.
Yeah.
Just imagine your GPS screaming at you, you've missed the turn off.
Right. It doesn't. I mean, we have free will, but it's just
Yeah.
a gentle reminder. Hey, you might be in your course correct. You missed the right turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that
And
makes
if you
complete
didn't, then it's
sense.
okay. But everyone's signaling their gut feeling, their intuitive signals to you in a very different way. And so you just have to really be with it to understand, how does your intuitive body want to
Mm-hmm.
communicate with you?
Yeah. I
And
think that's a big one for me, what you just said. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
no, yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to highlight that because, yeah, just because one thing works for me might not work for you. So
Right.
I think figuring that one out is a big one. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. And with music, with sound, it helps activate the feeling and energy within you to move. If you're not in movement, then you're not going to be able to sense and understand and distinguish how is that intuitive body wants to communicate with you. And so
Mm-hmm.
usually music that moves you is a good place to start, because then you're
Mm-hmm.
activating the flow internally rather than just being stagnant.
Great. Yeah. Very good starting point and very easy to do as well.
Absolutely.
Not very hard. You just got to take a little bit of time out. That's all you need to do. Cool.
Yeah.
Great points. Very great points. I love them. Question for you. Have you got a
Mhm.
favorite song at all? Or are there
Oh,
too many?
I do. I do. It's funny. So a little funny story is that when I first saw your post about your podcast, Living on the B-side, it gave me a really good flashback because, growing up, when I think about myself as a little child, I was 100% introvert, completely introverted.
Mm,
And my older cousin is the one that introduced me to music, because he was 7 years older than I was. I was just going into junior high, middle school, and I just remembered, because he had, music was very big in his life. So he would, back then we didn't have iPods or MP3 players. We had video cassette tapes, and he would make these mixed tapes, right?
mm-hmm.
And back then the genre of music was back in the 80s. So you've got like, you know, Richard Marx, Madonna, Depeche Mode, and it's funny because the mixtape he would give me, the music on the B side is always better than on the A side. I don't know why.
Oh,
So that's
really?
why when I saw your title, I was like, I just merely gravitated, because like, yeah, no, I love the music on the B side. So,
How
anyways,
cool.
I just wanted to share that.
That is
But
so cool.
your question was, what is my favorite song? And how I answer that is that it really depends on not just the mood, but the
Mm-hmm.
intention I want. Certain songs invoke certain intentions for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so what I share, in order to start exercising that mental gym, right? Exercising that dumbbell of imagination, voice, intuition.
Mm-hmm.
We always think about physical exercise. We know which exercise we need to do to work on our physical body, but the mental gym, what is it? It's imagination, voice, intuition. So the song, if you want high energy, you want healing, will have serves different purposes. For me, my anthem for the year, the song, is a song called My Way by Aloe Black.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that song just resonates with me in terms of my state of mind. And yeah, it's really living authentically of my purpose and in my direction and path and in my way, rather than being designed by others.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I have to say I've never heard of that song before, so I was very curious to listen to it, and I think it's going to be on my playlist too.
Fantastic.
Because it's
Yeah.
a really, and like you said, the lyrics as well. I mean, his voice is amazing to start off with. It's a really beautiful voice. But yeah, the lyrics itself are very, very good too. So
yeah.
yay, thank you for sharing that with me and everybody else. It's a really cool song.
Yeah.
Now I know you're obviously keen on helping people really start this bit right. And I know a lot of people, they are really keen on getting, the day started off right, and, basically jump out of bed and going, yes, this is my day. But obviously reality is completely different most of the time. We not always jump out of bed full of energy. And I do know a lot of people use music to kind of help them set the tone for the day. I'm aware that you have a really good way and a quick way of starting your day. And I think from memory, you told me you actually share that with your clients as well. So if you don't mind sharing with my audience what that really quick morning kind of routine is, because I think it's really cool, and it can really change someone's day if they can do that on a regular basis. So, yeah, would love for you to share it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I shared this technique actually on my podcast. It was episode 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Called How to Stay Focused, Light Camera Action. And it's basically I call it a morning ritual, a morning routine. And it's really broken down to 4 simple steps. So it's calming yourself, setting the intentions, picking a song to raise that vibration, and then making a declaration of I am. So let me break that down. So the first one is calm. You have to be able to calm yourself. Why that's important is that at any given time, if you're not in a calm state, usually we have like 20 thoughts running through our head.
Right? Oh yeah.
and I explain, in my show that it's really your wind tunnel. When you have a wind tunnel and you've got things blowing, and your thoughts are running through and racing through your mind, it's hard to be able to get that clarity of like, which thought is it that I really want to pick? But if you quiet that wind tunnel, everything naturally just falls gently down to the ground. And when you see it, oh, that's what I was looking for. So that calming state, and it's different for everyone. It's finding a method that works for you. What I say is, whether it's meditation, whether it's jogging, whether it's sitting still, whether it's just breath work, because for me, for example, if I were to sit still and meditate for 30 minutes, I'll be knocked out on minute 6. It just doesn't work for me. I'll just fall asleep.
Yep.
But a simple breath work exercise of just 1 minute of breathing in, breathing out. Other people have guided meditations that can last longer, but just 1 quick minute, that just gets my mind just really set and really just in a calm meditative state. So the first step is calming yourself. The second step is setting your intentions. And so a very simple sentence you can say, right, is my intentions for achieving X is Y because it makes me feel Z. So I'll say that again. My intentions for achieving X is Y because it makes me feel Z. Now, why that is important with those 3 components is that it frames your purpose for the intentions for today. I want to achieve blank, right? I want to achieve X because of Y. So they understand the why behind it, but it also makes me feel Z. That feeling, and this is where music comes in. I have to feel something so I'm being pulled towards achieving that goal, not feel like I'm being pushed in achieving that goal. So when you have the clarity to make that sentence My intentions for achieving X is Y because it makes you feel Z. It really makes you think, why is it I want to achieve this goal? And so once you set your intentions, that gives you direction. Once you set your intentions, the third step is picking a song. You're picking a song that will raise your vibration so that it gives you that sensation of what you said. It makes me feel Z. What song will help you make you feel Z? Do you want to feel more confidence? Do you want to feel more high energy? Do you want to just feel more love and healing energy? Whatever it is that best support you, pick a song that actually will help you raise that vibration to what it is you need to help you achieve your goal. And then the fourth and final step, and this is very important, is declaring out loud, I am. I am confident. I am fearless. I am love. I am whatever you want to say and fill in blank. Now, why is this? Why did I say this is really important? I am. I-A-M. I stands for intentions. A stands for actions. M stands for manifestation. When you say it out loud, you're declaring to the world and universe, this is my intention. The act of saying it is my action. And when I add my intention with action, that's what I would want to manifest. It's not just in your mind. And when you can really feel that, and that music will get you there, then you're really sending the vibration to the world. This is what I want, because I'm saying it. It's not just only in my head.
Amazing. And I mean, all that, depending on the song,
It's 6 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes tops.
I wouldn't even say 10 minutes. Yeah, depending on the song.
Yeah.
You know, you got 1 minute, you know, and the steps I have, and I created this, so it's a free download. It's a 1 minute breath work added with saying, you know, your intentions, picking a song, which is usually, you know, on average 5 to 6 minutes, right? And then just saying I am. So it's a really simple ritual that's in less than 10 minutes. And, you know, and I have, you know, one of my subscribers, she was saying, like, right before she steps into work in the car, she just calms down, picks a song, declares, and then walks into work. And it just completely shifts how you show up into the world and how you do it. And it makes it simple, because if it's too complicated, you're not going to do it. It's not going to be a habit.
No.
So really want to simplify it, where it's just breathe, intentions, what's your song, and then just making that declaration.
Yeah, I remember when you first told me that, I was like, oh my God, this is so nice and easy. You know, anyone can do it. It's just perfect. Because I admire anyone that can sit there for an hour and like meditate and journal and then yoga. And right. I just go, that's just hearing you do that makes me tired. That's not my jam. It's
that's
and right. Again, I think it goes back to what we kind of be force fed we should do.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Don't try to put it on, you know.
100%. And my approach has always been, I really try to understand where my clients are at. And then I try to understand where they want to go. And then I help them figure out what the middle ground is, so that it's steps. It doesn't have to be so 180. If you're not feeling in high energy, you know, it's one of those things, for example, where if you're just in a really negative state or in a sad state, and someone came over and just like, you know, hey, turn your frown upside down. It's like, you almost want to just punch them. It's like, what? Right? You can't just shift just like that. But it's like, hey, what if I understand where you're feeling? What if you can just get to a neutral state? You can just get to a neutral state. And then once you can get there, then the next step could be in a positive state. It doesn't have to, there's always a third alternative. And so really be gentle with yourself, give yourself the space and permission, and really feel what is the energy and shift that really works for you as a stepping stone to get there. Because you're going to see within this gradual step, then the song that works for you this month might change in the following month, right? Someone that just started to run is going to have a different exercise regime doing a 5K versus if someone doing a half marathon, someone doing a full marathon. It's all very different. And so the music you have when you're just starting might be a little bit different versus when you keep upgrading to each of those steps, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Beautifully said. 100% agree with you on that one. And I think I've actually had this, I did in my own little Facebook community, I did do a post the other day saying, you know, one song you listened to 5 years ago, and you listen to it today, you can actually see how much you have evolved, because you might
100%.
love it for different reasons now.
That's right. That's right.
So,
It's back then when when I had my iPod, I would always date stamp, month and year. And it's funny when I look back at, music I listened to 10 years ago versus 5 years ago versus last year. It's like, yeah, it evolves. It definitely
mm-hmm,
evolves. It gives me the memory of, yeah, that's what I was feeling back then. So it gives me that memory. But then it's like, okay, but if you know music can give you that feeling, that energy, then what is it that you want to embody?
mm-hmm,
And because then you're being intentional with direction,
mm.
being intentional. Why am I very big on intention? When someone says I have a growth mindset, to me, it's great rather than not having growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the why? Because if you're growing seeds or you're growing weeds, you're still growing. But one thing is really helping you grow and evolve. Another thing is going to be pulling you down. It's still
Mm-hmm.
growth. So what's the intention? So when you
Mm.
really start asking different questions, it's going to lead to different answers and profoundly change your outer reality. And so when you
Mm.
start asking different questions, which is really the journey of self-reflection,
Mm-hmm.
people always say the answer is within you. It's like, what does that even mean? If I said that to my 10-year-old, my 3-year-old self, I'd be like, what does that even mean? But through my journey, it's like, wow, okay, I really get it. It just needs
Mm-hmm.
some guidance in pulling it out because it's all within you. What works for you might not work for someone else.
Mm. Exactly. And that's a big one. I think if you can really get that, and that, I admit that took me years to understand that my journey is my journey. And just because someone runs doesn't mean I have to. I can just walk.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
it's totally okay. That sort of guilt of not getting there quick enough or not doing the right things.
Mm.
Oh, it sucks the
That
life out of you, I swear.
that's yeah, it does. Bria, it definitely does. But that's also the old SOS, your old subconscious operating system language, where
Mm,
you just need a little bit of an upgrade so that you don't
yeah.
make yourself, you don't have to be so hard on yourself, really.
Yeah, I mean, you could dive into and talk about that for another hour, I think,
Yeah, for sure.
which is
For
absolutely
sure.
interesting. But yeah, yeah, maybe not today.
We could do it as a follow-up.
Yeah, follow up part two.
Yeah.
Now, I always ask one question before I close off an interview, and you taken it taken the answer already. You've already shared it a little bit earlier on in our chat,
Mm,
but we might just highlight it again so people
sure.
don't forget.
Yeah.
And if you, yeah, maybe just go over the why again, because I know you've already mentioned a little bit why, but maybe there's something else that comes to mind as well. And I always want to know if people have a song that kind of describes their life or business and
Mm,
or their business where they are right now.
yeah.
And I know
It's
you've
a
already mentioned yours, but yeah.
it's a beautiful question. It really is a beautiful question. And so the song that I have is My Way by Aloe
Mm-hmm.
Black.
Yeah.
He's a very soulful singer, which I really appreciate. And the reason why that embodies my business, my life right now, it's for two reasons. Okay, it's for two reasons. One, what I coach my clients on is you have to be very mindful of your soil, water, and sun. Your soil, water, and sun. What I mean by that, what soil you are rooted in,
Mm-hmm.
either it will empower you or it'll drag you down. The water is, are you watering your mind on a daily basis? Are you giving it nutrients to help you grow? And the sun, your sun rays is, do you have direct sunlight? Are you doing things in your life that gives you joy and fulfillment for your soul? If you're really careful of where you're rooted in, are you watering every day consistently, and where you're getting your sun rays from, Are you doing things that make your, soul feel alive?
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you're going to bear fruit. It's a matter of time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the music, how that's integral within that paradigm of soil, water, sun, is that that's part of the water. That's part of what you're doing to nourish yourself. Because once you start feeling, then you'll be able to know where really are my direction of my sun rays. What will I do to get my to make me feel fulfilled?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that song serves that purpose of soil, water, and sun.
Nice.
Um, and then the second one, oh, it just escaped me.
Oh
It's
no,
just in the
don't you
moment.
hate when that happens?
Yeah.
You're so in the flow, you kind of forget what you want to say.
Yeah, no, but it's soil, water, and sun. Oh man, it's one of those things I think where after interview, then it's like, oh, I forgot
Yeah,
that's what I was going to
that's what it
say.
was.
But
Yeah. But just
yeah,
that in itself is beautiful. And like we said previously, the song and the lyrics that are in the song are very powerful and encouraging. And I think that's, if you can listen to something like that and have that as your kind of anthem, even if it's only for a time being,
yeah,
it can
yeah, no,
really
totally.
shift your mindset back to where you probably want to be, not where you should be.
Yeah, it's internal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember now what I want
Oh,
to
good.
say. So the thing is that when you think of the soil, water, and sun, those are all externalities you can work on to help with your inner world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, from the inner going outer, this is where your imagination, your voice, intuition comes into play, is that music can come in that in as well. Because internally, you know, the visual I share with the imagination, what does that really mean? It's that when you're imagining what you can or cannot be, are you are you sketching on a 1.5 by 11 piece of paper, or is the entire world your canvas? How expansive is
Right.
your imagination? And you've never
Mm-hmm.
exercised it, you wouldn't know, right? So you have to
Right.
put in effort to exercise. That
Mm-hmm.
inner voice is a language I'm using serving me in where I want to go vibrationally.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, then how do I mindfully change that language, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that intuitive body, my soul GPS, how does it want to communicate with me? Is it through feeling? Is it
Mm-hmm.
through vision and sight? Is it through music? Is it through, audio?
Mm-hmm.
And with song, you're going to start activating that. And so another way, so it doesn't seem so theoretical,
Mm-hmm.
is that we all have 4 bodies. What does that mean? We have our physical body,
Mm-hmm.
we have our mind body, we have our heart body, and we have our soul body.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes in like that, right? So you can, and so what does that mean? So most people stay in the physical body and a mind body. Mind body is your IQ, your conscious mind. Everyone has a heart body. Heart body is where the heart is, where the feelings and emotions are. That's where it kind of flows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't flow, you're not going to be able to access your intuitive body. When you say gut feeling, people point to their stomach. It's that gut feeling, right? And that's where your intuitive body is. So when you can activate your heart body, where your emotions and feelings are flowing, and music can
Mm-hmm.
help be a conduit of that, then you're helping to connect your mind with your intuitive body.
Right.
Does that make
So
sense?
I think so. I will have to probably sit with that for a bit to
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really get it, but
yeah,
it feels like it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. This
And
paradigm of the 4 bodies was described by I know I interviewed Bridget Liu and Jonathan Liu and Bridget Wang. They're both energy light workers, and they really have mastered the intuition but also feeling. And so they beautifully describe these 4 bodies, and it resonates with me in the sense that that helps at least distinguish, well, is it my inner voice or my intuitive? If I want to access my gut feeling,
mm-hmm.
I have to let my energy and my feelings flow so that it doesn't cloud the noise of what the signal is trying to
Mm-hmm.
get through to me,
Cool.
Yeah.
Learn something new. I'll have to sit with that, I think, to
Sure.
digest it. But thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And obviously that's where that song kind of comes in to help you make sense and keep centered. And I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just, the direction you probably want to go in, and stay true to yourself. That's how I perceive it anyway.
No, it is.
That's okay.
It is. No, you said it exactly right. It's when you have a vision, it gives you a metaphorical direction of where you want to go. And when you have that direction, then with the song and energy that I know will support me in going forward, then that's what the song serves a purpose for. Then I'm going to feel I'm drawn towards a direction, not like I have to being pushed towards it. It's a very different sensation.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I think this is a beautiful ending to an amazing interview. So thank you for sharing everything you've shared. There are so many golden nuggets in there. And I'm sure a lot of most of my audience will walk away pondering a lot of things and hopefully implementing this really short but powerful morning ritual. I will put all your details in the episode description so they can find you, they can connect with you, they can sign up and get your juicy emails with all your wisdom and whatever else you're sharing. Is there anything else you want to add that you feel is important?
Sure. So to make their morning ritual really easy for you, I actually created a landing page on my website. So it's www.benjaminyeh, benjaminyeh.com /thank you. And if you go there, and you sign up as a subscriber, you could download the 1 minute breathwork exercise that I go through. You can just download on your phone, as well as I created 3 music playlists. Whether you want high energy, whether you want confidence, or you want self-love healing, whatever it is, I've already curated my own music for each of those 3 different types, where if you have a difficult time picking that anthem for you, it's all right there. So you can just listen to it and just be able to curate, your best morning ritual that will work for your listeners. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, definitely go and grab that. It's all done for you. You just have to start. That's all you have to do. Yeah, we'll put all that in the episode description. So if you're keen on that, please sign up and do it. And let Ben know how it works for you too, because I'm sure feedback is always appreciated. Yes, that's it for another episode. Thanks, B-Siders, for tuning in. And I appreciate your support as always. And I'll see and talk to you again in one of the next episodes. Until then, keep on dancing, keep on rocking, and keep playing that music. And I shall see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure.